So, I'm Joel, and my client Remy here is getting the executive contour tonight. We're going to start by wetting down the hair. And while I'm doing this, I'm also checking out Remy's bone structure. And so we start our section at the top of the parietal ridge, getting the length all up and out of my way. And so I'm going to set in my baseline just above his temple, making sure I'm holding everything 90 degrees out from the scalp, and I'm standing right behind the section. Grab my clipper comb. I'm going to bring the clipper comb up and clear out just a little, and I'm only following it for that first couple inches. I'm using the baseline as a guide and trying to set the backing of the comb right against the scalp where I'm going to set in my skin line. I'm going to set in a guide for my 0, and it's at this point I usually like to define the perimeter a little bit more. There I'm working with an open blade and I'm fanning outward. Eventually the blade is completely closed. This is where we're actually going to part at. And his natural parting is pretty well defined. So for this contour, I find his parting and I go right down to where the comb would want to be parallel with his scalp. Now that we have our baseline connected through the crown, I'm freehanding with the blade open from that 0 out to where I set in that baseline. And only work in sections that you're in control over. And back to the trimmers with a true 0. So now we have all this floppy stuff right on top. I want to separate that out. You know why we call it Tinder triangle? Which way are you swiping, right or left?
Oh, to the right.
Oh, you're welcome. Yes, I did steal that from Rob. Not my joke, but I know the jokes that they want me to tell. Hooray! Now that we've got that top length out of the way, getting the sides separated, and then Tinder triangle, the 2 sides, and the crown, which is going to be split into 2. Key point here is that I'm pivoting around the crown. So working up that same section, keeping that length in front of the ear out of my way. This is called a stationary guide, and it's going to allow us to build weights. Mirroring it again. On this side, I'm mostly just combing downward to that section below. Now I'm still right above the ear, so everything is still brought to that guide. In front of the ear, we kind of abandon that guide. This other side is where his parting comes from naturally. So I am only bringing a little bit of that downward. So now we bring in that Tinder triangle, which is where all of that length is. And we're going to take that Tinder triangle, bring it up and back a little bit, sectioning the top into a mohawk. And I'm finding my length from the crown and going to connect it to the front. So on the top, I'm using a combination of a stationary and a traveling guide, working on the opposite side of the body so that I can create a square shape throughout the top of the cut. So they say water is truth serum for hair. It's going to show what all it's going to be able to do. So we're going to use a little bit of grooming tonic. You can be fairly generous. This is liquid gold. We're going to use the fiber gel. Just a couple dabs on your fingers is going to give him a little extra lift. And we're going to do a wrap dry. And I'm mostly wanting to follow the head shape. As we get to the front, this is where we start to give him a little bit of a quiff. This is where we bring out our texture, our thinning shears. I'm using the wide teeth of my comb here, and I'm coming in at an angle, still working that same pattern into the crown. So on his short side, I want to keep a little extra definition for that fade. So I'm just kind of arcing it away. As we start working into the length, I abandon my comb and we're going in for some kind of free-handed texture. These are your foil blades. And we're going to bring him down to a true skin 0. We're going with the grain. This way we don't leave any hard line demarcation. Using a little bit of the red pomade, water base, high shine pomade. And don't be afraid to use a little bit of force. We've put the water-based pomade in as the base. We're using the beeswax, the green, so we're putting oil over water. When we go to style, we want a little bit of resistance on the comb. So the way I start is right along that side, follow it back, and you just want a little bit of tug. Now, the tool that you're using to style determines the texture of the hair, and really work this product in and sculpt it for him. Where this stuff really kicks up, we can really kick up his shine factor with a little bit of extra heat. I'm gonna hand this to you. All right, let's go ahead and lean you all the way back. So I'm going from just in front of the Adam's apple to just below the corner of his jaw. The Reuzel beard wash. And make it nice and sudsy. I'm gonna go get you a hot towel. Okay. Clean, fresh blade for every gust. We call this the power glove. It's quite literally a hand massager. So I like to do this. It both helps the client relax, sloughs that skin, helps loosen up the muscles underneath. At this point, I like to clean up the eyebrows. Reuzel beard serum. So this is gonna helps moisturize that beard. I like to follow it with a hot foam and one last steam. Shave creams, the real stuff. Stuff provides damn good glide, moisturizing for the skin, thick, so right where I want to place it, it's going to stay. I'm gonna get you one more towel.
Hot toddy. Now that the client's skin is so supplely burned, it'd be
a little more astringent foam. So this has a lot of witch hazel, so it's going to help close up those pores. The old barber fan helping dry a little quicker. A little bit of aftershave.
Boom, baby.
And dust him off. I'm Joel, this is Remy. This has been the executive contour and a mild beard trim.